People, welcome back to the channel. So today I got two very special guests. I got Chris from Listen Till I Die TV, and I got Louis from basically from
My
everywhere
own channel.
on he is everywhere on social media. Yeah. Chris, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. Like I said, Chris Leicester Till I Die TV. That's on YouTube. Leicester at Leicester TID on Twitter, and I've just started on Twitch LTID TV. It's hard enough sober. I wouldn't like to try it when I'm drunk. And we obviously cover a lot of Leicester, but we do a lot of quizzes and Premier League stuff, and we're covering the Women's Euros, doing some watch alongs and covering that during the summer. So, yeah, pop along if you like a bit of women's football.
Yeah, and Louis.
Yeah, just Reveiw on YouTube. Do all sorts of bit of football, some Championship football as well. Newcastle United related. Being a bit of mixture on there, different sports. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. And the different socials: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. At Reveiw105 on them as well.
Yeah. You can find the links to the socials and everything in the description below. And yeah. Chelsea fan. Big up Chelsea fan. Yeah. Boys TV, aka Tyler Jones. So yeah. Uh,
Hmm. The thing is, I don't run the Championship show, so.
I so wanted Luton to come up this season.
yeah.
I'm
so
happy
did.
with Forest coming up as well
Yeah.
because yeah,
Well,
they've been
as you
out
can
too.
imagine, I'm not particularly happy with Forest. Not only because they beat us in the FA Cup, because we were dreadful and we deserved it, but they're obviously, God, we're all going to have all season is we're back where we belong and this is where we should be, ex-European. But I like Luton. We've loaned them a few players. We bought one off them, and I just like the smaller clubs coming up and having a go at it. Like it's. Although I suppose that's Nottingham Forest, isn't it? But yeah, like the Brentfords and all that. I love to see those clubs having a go and being in the top league for a bit. And I would love Luton to come up. Others, Forest were my nightmare, but they're here, so it's 6 points for us, I guess.
Yeah, same for us as well.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's 6 points? Chris, are you sure?
Yes, I had a Tottenham. Sorry, at Tottenham. What am I saying? A Forest fan on last night. I did a promotion show, and he was giving it all that. So it was like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll see. They beat us once in about 30 years, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to them.
I'm friends with two Forest fans, and all they've been talking to me about, oh, we're going to spend 100 million in the transfer window. Oh, we're going to stomp the league next season. Oh, just be quiet.
You just want them to fail, don't you? You know what I mean? I had a Fulham and Bournemouth fan on, and they were just like pleased to be back, but yeah, I'm doing a show tonight at 7 on my channel, and it's sort of, are we glad to have Forest back for the derbies, or do we wish they were still in division, the second tier below us? Yeah, T-Boys, absolutely. He didn't have a good England debut, unfortunately. He got injured. He's a little bit out of his depth, but yeah, I'm a big fan of James Justin. Thanks for letting us have him.
Same with me. I just wish if Chelsea can find a right back replacement or want one, go get James Justin. Nothing needs to be tough again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they just as long as they beat Arsenal and Tottenham, it's
At least our stadium is a good away day. You've got to climb up 200 steps to get to level 7, and then you take your binoculars with you. and getting the bus back home. So
I've never been to Newcastle, but people that I find having said that I can't stand heights, so
I don't know how we get away with it.
Yeah, I'd probably have another heart attack by the time I climbed up 7 floors or whatever.
Yeah, but let's get into it. Okay, I think, can I move? Just see if I can move. Wait, I'm not. No. Okay.
Hey.
No. Wait, okay. Wait. I must switch. Okay. I'm. Okay. I'm going to do
There
it.
we go.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So yeah. So let's start off with the biggest baddest season review show you guys have ever seen. So we start off with Norwich, of course. They finished on 22 points in 26 losses, 7 draws, 5 wins, once. So, what were your guys' expectations going into the season regarding Norwich? Do you think they signed a few good players? Did you guys think they will get anywhere out of relegation?
I don't know anybody who predicted anything other than relegation for Norwich City for this season. I've got to be honest with you. There's 2 clubs, and we'll come on to the other one in a minute. But 2 clubs that basically got what they deserved. I mean, this is what annoys me when you've got teams like Brentford who've come up and had a good go at it. Leeds have had a good go at it for a couple of seasons. Sheffield United did. I don't think Norwich got out the bottom 3 all season, did they? They were pathetic.
No.
And I just hope that they're going to get the parachute payments, which is a joke. You're being sort of you're giving money for failing, if you like. But I just wish that I'm glad they've gone down, and I just hope they don't come back up straight away. And because other clubs, even Forest, deserve a chance at it. Because all they do is come up, get the money, go down, get the money, come up, get the money, go down, get the money.
They're a yo-yo club.
Yeah, and literally in the sense they are, and good riddance to them.
Yeah, you sacked Daniel Farke. I think it was the start of the season, wasn't it?
No, it was after Dean Smith had got sacked from Aston Villa, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Dean Smith came in, so I think it was about a third of the way through. They just literally, I think they'd won about the first game.
Yeah,
And,
it was a bad season for Norwich. Let me look at the goal difference as well.
Yes, yeah. I
Laughable.
got what they deserved. I'm sorry, but
Okay, so
I think the fans deserve better. That's the thing with Norwich.
Yeah.
I don't hate Norwich as a club. I have nothing against the fans. I just think the fans deserve more than when they come up, they know they're going to come straight back down. There's no hope for them.
So, yeah. For me, I don't think they will do better than relegation, but I thought maybe they can just maybe sneak into 18th and not be bottom of the Premier League table. That's what I thought. So yeah. Who was their worst player? Norwich worst player.
Oh God.
Take anyone you want. I think, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Put the names in the bag and just pull one out. I don't think I think it's hard to say.
The whole team.
Yeah. And yeah, probably. And I think there's not one player we can say was the best.
Pukki did score a couple of goals, but it's nothing really compared to everyone else.
Again, I feel sorry for Pukki because, it's a team game, and a striker is only gonna knock the goals in if they're getting the service and what have you. And when you've got 10 players behind you that aren't brilliant, and I don't know. As I say, I just think They need to have a rethink, really, do Norwich,
Hmm.
about how they're going to handle things.
Well, they've already done some business. They've signed Isaac Hayden from us on loan. It was someone we had to get rid of because just like our squad's massive. I think it's a good move. You know, it might help Norwich get back up and might get them back up. But with the parachute payments and all that sort of stuff going on,
I don't
I
want
don't.
them to come back up, though.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't
You
either.
know, and that's nothing. As I say, only because of the way they are run. I'd sooner, like say, see Luton come up. At least at least these clubs, they'll be great. It's the first time here. We can give it a go. But no, I'd sooner a team like that come up than Norwich coming back up again.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can't disagree. It's very hard to disagree of what you guys say. Now Watford, of course, it's T-Boys TV's favorite team, and I think Chris's favorite team in all wide world. Um, I don't know why he has Leicester staff behind him, and why he has Leicester shit. I
Be
still don't know
careful.
why.
Be
uh,
careful. Be careful.
yeah,
I mean,
but
Watford, they are the other team that I was talking about before. Again, I've had some sort of conversation, some banter with Watford fans. Again, it's a joke of a club, and I feel sorry for the fans. And I think Alan Shearer summed it up on the last match of the day when he said they deserve to go down. You do not sack a manager when you just
Exactly.
got promoted. You sat in seventh or whatever. No, 12th. Sorry, they sat in 12th place after 7 games, and they sacked the manager. What do they really expect, Watford? I mean, they took on Ranieri. You couldn't keep Fulham up the season before.
Hmm.
So, and that was, where are the brains and the people that are running that club? They looked at Ranieri and said, yeah, okay, he won the Premier League with Leicester, but that was on the back of what Pearson's work. He couldn't keep Fulham up. So how the hell is he going to keep Watford up? Again, they got totally what they deserved, and I think everybody again picked them to go down.
Yeah.
And if they could go down to the League One, it would be great because they're a bit of
The,
a
the
they
new
deserve
manager
it.
they've
Well, they poached a manager, didn't they?
mhm.
They poached the guy. They didn't even sort of go about it the right way. So yeah, go on, Watford, go down like Norwich and stay down from me,
Yeah.
please.
yeah. Did anyone think Watford will make it out of relegation?
No,
Nope.
not at all.
Uh,
Watford's their best player and the worst player.
Um,
I think Dennis the Menace. For me, he's the best player, and I think worst player most of the team.
yeah, I mean it's hard to say when they're down there. It's hard to pick one person out as being a good player.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, plus I've got to be honest with you. I don't really know many players from opposition teams anyway. But
Same.
you're looking again. 6 wins all season. You know,
No wonder Ben Foster left.
yeah, exactly. You couldn't probably wait to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you go to Watford as a manager, and you don't ever think that you're going to fulfil your contract, but it doesn't matter because you'll get paid off. The money they've spent in paying managers off, they could have probably bought a whole new team.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's Watford.
That's Watford.
That's my two worst teams out of the way.
yeah. Now, a surprise relegation
Mm,
team, unless you guys thought Burnley were going down, because I didn't. Um, first,
Kind of did. I mean, I lived in Burnley for sort of 24 years. My 4 kids were all born in Burnley, so I've got kind of like a little bit of a soft spot for them. And I'm good mates with Dan from Turf Moorhouse TV, which is the Burnley channel. And you could probably see from last season they only just managed to stay up, and they didn't really do anything sort of, you know, purchase wise to make me think they were going to do anything else. Sacking the manager with what 7 games to go, it
Yeah,
was either going to be the best decision any chairman has ever made or the stupidest. And
Yeah.
as it happened, they nearly pulled it off. But the problem is they've drawn too many games. They've
yeah.
drawn 14 games, and they'd win a couple of games, and then you think, oh, they're on that run that they always have that second half of the season run, and then you got like then they'd lose a couple, then they'd go to Tottenham and get something, and then they'd go to Norwich and not get anything. It was such a weird season.
We
The,
got our first win against Burnley, and we relegated Burnley. So that's what I've got to
yes,
say.
yeah,
I, I'm very angry because at you guys because I so wanted Bentley to win, to
um,
stay up. I like Bentley. I don't know why. I just like them.
Burnley to
And
me is one of those teams where it's like I hate their style of play. It's so scrappy. It's just well,
it was a team in Sean Dyche's mould, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Very much so. But they've got a big decision, big summer for them because I know they've obviously got to get some players. A lot are leaving. And of course they need a manager as well.
I think that's Vincent Company because I'm hearing reports it could be him.
I
yeah.
don't know. He keeps saying it, but it's not announced. So I don't know what's happening there. It'd be a good choice to be honest with you. I think.
Mhm.
No, I must say we are not way off what's up there. Um, Schmeister likes what well, yeah.
Well, the Daily Mail are saying Burnley set to appoint Man City legend Vincent Company as new manager next week.
Okay, I
Okay,
think it would be a good decision.
yeah. Uh, so base plan was play from Burnley.
Chris Wood. No, I'm kidding. Um, I do.
For me, I've got to go for me. Ben Me. I think I don't think the fans wanted him to stay. I don't think he was joint manager with the Michael Jackson.
Mhm.
Problem is having Michael Jackson as your manager. Everybody beat it. Oh,
Well, I'm just looking at what the
that was
people
that was a
he
joke.
voted for.
Well, I say it was a joke. It might not have been that good, but yeah, for me, Ben Mee, I think was their best player. Their worst player, probably Veghorst, because they
Mm.
bought him in as a replacement for Chris Wood. They bought somebody who only got them 7 or 8 goals a season for a player that is probably going to get less goals a season, and now he's fallen out. With his teammate and on international front because apparently his teammate went up to him and said, "So why don't you do this?" He scored a goal in the last minute. He said, "Why don't you do that for Burnley?" He turned around and went, "It's not the time to talk about it now." So he wants out. So it's fortunate. It's a club that looks like it's going to be in a bit of turmoil.
Well, according to the BBC, the people who voted, Burnley supporters voted for their best player, and they said it was Nick Pope.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Right.
Somebody's just
Is
said
it?
T-Boys has said then Cornet. I don't like Cornet. We have been linked with him. He's a good player, but I remember when we played him, he got injured off the pitch. He was actually outside the playing area, and he sort of crawled back onto the playing area so the game could get stopped. It was a bit,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
bit of a cheat, I'm afraid.
Mm.
But Pope, yeah, Pope is a good
Yeah,
shout.
he's a shout. He's a definite shout. Um, for me, worst player, I think probably Wickles also because he was brought in. There was so much hype around him and then he went down. He, and Pope, Nick Pope, I think he's the best player, but Benny is also a shot. Oh, he just when he was player, was playing week in week out, and then all of a sudden he just needed to be manager, and he did it. So yeah.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Okay. So now we're out of the relegation zone. We're into Leeds United.
Marching all together.
I
Now,
like I like Leeds. I mean, the thing I like about Leeds fans is when they came up, they weren't like that, like I say, Forest attitude. Like, well, we're back where we
Yeah.
belong. They actually appreciated being back here because, as a fan of Leeds, and those of us of a certain age will remember them as dirty Leeds and all that, but they'd been through hell. The club had nearly gone out of business. They'd dropped down two divisions. So I just think I got everything wrong with the relegation fight because I said Leeds couldn't go down with about 2 weeks to go, and then they got drawn into it. I said Everton definitely would go down, and they stayed up.
That's what I said.
I think they've got a bucket for sale if anybody wants a bucket that's not being used anymore. um, so I don't know if there's a hole in it or not, but yeah, I mean, they changed the manager. Weird decision to take
Yeah.
on Jesse March. I'm just watching Ted Lasso on and see how close it is. But yeah, I'm glad they stayed up. To be honest with
Yeah,
you,
I am as well.
second season syndrome, I think, though, because obviously they had a good season last season, but unfortunately, as good a manager as Bielsa was, once you work Leeds out, they weren't a difficult team to beat.
Yeah.
And when you look at their the goals conceded, they were getting stuffed just before Bielsa left, 5-0 and 6-0. So, but overall, I'm going to say I'm glad they stayed up.
I am as well. Leeds fans, if you'd like to thank Newcastle personally for keeping news up.
Oh, you're claiming everything here, aren't you, Newcastle?
Well, we were part of a relegation battle on the final day, but we weren't in the relegation battle. So
Yeah.
you know, but I'm happy for Leeds though. I really am.
Mm.
yeah, Leeds. It's easy. It's 6 points, and if they, so I'm glad they. I'm not actually no, I'm not happy because I went down instead of Burnley. So yeah, but it's guaranteed 6 points next season. So yeah.
That's true.
Now Everton.
Ugh,
Oh,
don't talk to me about Everton.
where do you,
Everton.
where do you
uh,
start with Everton? You
mhm.
know,
But before we start off, then let's get into the comments. Tyler saying, Pope is a good shot. Yeah. Le- uh, Leeds or Burnley? I think Burnley.
Yeah,
I
Burnley.
think so. Um, yeah, to interest to key players. Yeah, absolutely. Now Everton. Now, how how do you sum up this season in one
Terrible.
sentence?
if I could talk emoji words, I'd be using the poo one. I mean, but the thing is, and I think you'd agree, it's not just this season's been coming. They've had this
Yeah.
bad season, but the last two or three or four even, they've got a manager with got an owner with money, but there's no strategy there. He's just going out and we'll have that player, we'll have that
Yeah.
player, and what have you. I was surprised that Benitez didn't do well because he's not a bad manager, Benitez. I mean, the fans didn't like him obviously because of his Liverpool links, but it was just free fall for them. I don't think Lampard necessarily is going to take them to the heights they want to, but that is a club. Sometimes when they say a club, it's good to go down because you can rebuild. You
Yes.
clear the
Yes.
deadwood out, and I think Everton would have been better off by going down this season, having that clear out, and then coming back up. I just I was surprised because they started off. They were really, like in the
Yeah.
top five or something at the start, and then they just got worse and worse and worse. And when you look at the players they've got, they totally underperformed. Um,
Run
and I
down.
think they were lucky to stay up.
I think one of their best players, well, probably the back end of Gordon, because he was
Oh yeah,
basically
yeah.
doing most of the work really, and then
Mm.
yeah, just we have fun with Everton when they come down to St James's. Take the pick out of Jordan Pickford. It's good fun.
I did get my moment of the season from a Liverpool Everton game when Allison got the ball and he clasped it to his chest and fell onto it, Pickford style,
Yeah.
taking the way out of Pickford. I thought I loved it. I loved it, but
Yeah.
yeah, they were lucky.
Don't
They were lucky.
don't talk to me about that Everton away game, because 14 minutes of added time. Just
That's got to be a record. Hey, at Leicester, 14 minutes of stoppage time, we could have conceded 5 goals.
well, we we conceded. We lost the game.
Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah, sorry.
It's fine.
We
6 points next
Chelsea
season.
player will lose. We 2-0 up and in 40 minutes at a stoppage time. We will probably lose at 3-2. But yeah, um, Tyler said they had loads of injuries. It was talking about Leeds, um, and
Yes, they did. They'd had a few
yeah, they
injuries,
did.
Leeds.
Yeah. Now for me, Everton they were just awful. They started good, then were not so good, and then of course they crumbled down. Down. I think it would have been better for Everton as a club to go down, but for Lampard to um, go down, wouldn't have been great. But yeah, um, what best player from Everton? I know it's hard. If they don't have any, it is so.
Well,
And
the best player from Everton, I think it was Pickford because
yeah,
he kept them in games
Mm.
when they didn't deserve to be in games. So, yeah, Pickford for me is best player.
Pickford or
rest,
Gordon for me.
yeah. I I think Chelsea should. If we sell Kepa, we should get him in
Mm.
and but um Les would you take him at Leicester, Chris?
Would I take who? Sorry.
Nick Pope.
No, everybody's talking about Schmeichel, and Schmeichel could leave this summer. There's a lot of rumours, and quite often there's not a bit of smoke without fire. I'd say Newcastle have been linked with him, but nobody would be
Yes.
surprised. Like I say, Newcastle are linked with everybody.
Yep.
If Schmeichel goes, we've got Danny Ward as a number 2. Wales, keeper, plays nationally for Wales. He's their number 1, although he's been injured recently. He's a great goalkeeper. 12 million we bought him from Liverpool for a number 2. That's a lot of money, and you move him up, and then we've got Everson. When we finally let Chapokovic go, who we bought from Hull, and he's played like 4 games in 5 seasons or whatever it is. I don't know why we bought him, but he's gone. But we've got, Iverson, who will move up into Ward's place. We've got a lot of goalkeepers. We don't need to buy another goalkeeper because we've got Danny Ward. So no, I mean Pope it'd be great to have. Don't get me wrong, but it's not an area that we need to concentrate on.
Nick Pope's I've just been reading. He's been linked to Nottingham Forest as a possible signing.
Well, they're losing Samba. He wants to go, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that could well happen. That could well happen.
Yeah, Nick Pope was linked to us once. I didn't want him. I know. I'm happy with our goalkeeper at the moment, Dubravka. If he was probably a second goalkeeper, if he was to come in, But we're linked to Henderson now, which is a better quality goalkeeper. And if it was to come from Man United, it'd have to be a permanent. He said that, not a loan. I mean, we tried to deal with Man United in the last window, and look how that turned. So I'll be surprised if Henderson does come through the door. But
Yeah.
we'll just wait and see.
Yeah. Now, Everton's worst player. I think every player, yeah, except Pickford, basically.
Where's Richarlison?
He was probably the most disappointing. Yes,
Yes.
I would probably have to agree with that. I think a lot more was expected of him, and he's been linked with moving away as well. But again, like I say, is it a case, Louis, that he would have been better in a better team?
If if he had better players around him,
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. But let's continue. Southampton. Now, Southampton, just a normal season for them.
Well, they didn't
Yes.
lose 9-0 to anybody this season, did they?
Not this season.
that's,
Not this season, yeah.
So for
that's a plus
Ralph,
for them.
so
We,
for Ralph
yeah,
Hasenhüttl Pot Noodle, whatever you call him, it's a
Yeah.
good season.
I
Not lose.
rate him, to be honest with you, Ralph Hussenthal, and I think Southampton again had a good start, and I thought, well, hello, they might be just knocking on sort of the Europa Conference place, and then they just went down and down.
Yeah.
And had they not had that good start, again, they would have been, I think, in
Yeah.
a relegation battle. The problem is with Southampton, they've got new owners. I don't think he knows exactly where he wants to take them, but they get good players coming through, then they sell them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how. And you can't go. That used to be Leicester years ago, and you can't keep doing that all the time. Eventually, it does come back and bite you on the bum. And I think what Ralph has done with the resources he's got at Southampton is a really, really, really good job. They're probably where I expected them to be, because it's where they've been for the last few seasons, 14th, 15th, around there. So, yeah, probably as expected for me.
yeah.
For me, this is a normal season for Southampton. Not really in the news for anything relevant, really. Like results-wise, it's just a normal season for them.
I mean, they lost 4 of the last 5 games, so
Yeah.
that sums their season up.
Yeah.
Everton got more wins than Southampton. Yeah,
That's
that kind of sums it up.
Yeah. For me, normal season for Southampton. Best player at Southampton. That's tough. Probably
Probably
Livramento.
Ward-Prowse. Yeah.
Yeah. Worst player. No, there's many to pick from.
The 2 defenders they sold to us. They can have them back. And for some reason, we're looking at buying another defender from them. God help us.
Deal with Southampton.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick. It's one of those clubs, isn't it? It's worse to pick out one player as being any worse than the others. But JWP definitely, for me, I don't know where they will go because he loves the club. He's a local lad, so that'll be interesting. But I think there could be a few clubs in for him.
Yeah. But next team is Aston Villa. Now, of course, they were under Dean Smith, and they were working on him. It was at one stage like it seemed like maybe they're going down, but then Steven Gerrard came up, took the job, and they had a good run. And then they had an awful run, awful run. And I'm going to look at that run. What?
I think regarding Aston Villa, it's Would you say it's a successful season? I mean,
It's. I think they've avoided second season syndrome,
yeah.
like the Leeds and Sheffield United, have had. But I think they've done well in getting Steven Gerrard in. I think that's a good move, and I don't think he will necessarily move unless the Liverpool job comes up. And it's a bit early for him, and B, we know Klopp's going to be there for sort of a few more years yet. But for me, they're a good club. I heard their owners one day on the radio, and they've got a good plan, a bit like your guys at Newcastle. They're not expecting to run before they can walk. They're taking it individually. They've got the Grealish money as well. Um, I mean, look at the players. I mean, they've got Coutinho. I would have loved him, but he went to obviously with the Gerrard link. He went to
Yeah.
Villa. They may be getting Suarez because of that. I can see it being an excellent season. An excellent next couple of seasons for them, and I think they'll be up there. For this season, I think it was just average for them.
Yeah. Don't think
Yeah.
Steven Gerrard really did anything special this season with the appointment.
No, he had good runs, then he had bad
Yeah.
runs. Again, it was the inconsistency. But how many teams can you say that about this season?
Well, us and part.
Everybody's
But
been really inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to address it because I heard that Steven Gerrard was was 10 times better, 100 times better than Lampard. I don't think he's 10 times better, but he is better. But why are Liverpool fans overhyping Steven Gerrard as a manager? That's my question. So me, he's just an average manager for me personally. What do you guys think?
Well, Gerrard.
You've got Gerrard, you've got Lampard, you've got Rooney. They're all kind of in that
Yeah.
same position. He's done it in Scotland, but let's be honest with you. I mean, we know we got Brendan Rodgers after he'd been at Celtic and done brilliantly. If you go to Rangers or Celtic and can't do well as a manager, then you shouldn't be a manager. It's just I mean, when Brendan Rodgers was at Celtic, as good as he was doing, he didn't have Rangers for a couple of seasons because they were still trying to get back up from when they were dropped down a few divisions. But I think he's made the right decision because he's gone to a club that have got ambition. They will match his ambition because they've got the money, and he knows that he can do a good job there. If he gets Villa into Europe, they'll be happy. They don't think they've got any aspirations to be to win the league, but I think it was a good move for him to go to somewhere like a Villa first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I, I, I don't like Gerrard.
You don't like it, do you?
When it was around the takeover and Steve Bruce got sacked and we were looking for a new manager and then Gerrard was rumoured, I was like, nah, I don't want Gerrard. I want someone better than Gerrard.
Yeah. But the next club is, of course, Brentford. Now, many people or few people expected Brentford to stay up, but did anyone think they will get how many points did I get? Think they would get 64 points. No, sorry, 46 points. Sorry.
46
About
points,
to
yeah.
say 64 points.
That would have been good.
Sorry. What did you say?
I love Brentford. I
I do as well.
absolutely love them to bits. And I think again when they came up, you saw Watford and Norwich going straight back down. I think everybody said Brentford was the team they thought would have a go and possibly stay up. Great start winning at Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's a great team, great togetherness. Getting Ericsson was an absolute masterclass, and they did go through a really bad period, But what Brentford were doing, which the likes of Burnley weren't, they were beating the teams around them. And that was putting that space, and that's probably what made them safe. They were beating the likes of Norwich and Leeds and people like that. I think they'll be pleased with that. I think it's a better than average season. I think they would have taken 16th, 17th. I think ending up in 13th was a good season for them.
The two games we had with Brentford, like the first one, 3-3 draw. I mean, one of the most high blood pressure matches I've ever seen. And then the two, of course, beating them 2-0. I mean, that was with an improved squad. But yeah, Brentford have had a very good season. Thomas Franks did an unbelievable job. And they got in the transfer window. They got I'm gonna get his name wrong, aren't I?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah, but before we further get
Ericsson?
on to Brentford,
That's
Oh,
it.
Ericsson, yeah. The one player you couldn't forget.
Yes, the one player you couldn't forget.
Yeah.
but I want to welcome, of course, February, a fellow Chelsea fan like myself, all the way from Ghana. February, if you are there, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Hando. And how are you to all those in the panel?
I'm doing
We're
good.
good. Hope you are as well.
I'm good. Yeah, Brentford. February, what were your expectations versus what they achieved?
Who
Oh,
was that
you're
to,
referring
sorry?
It was
Yeah,
you're referring to me?
February.
Okay, whose expectations?
Brentford. What were your
Oh,
expectations for them and versus what they did?
for me, I thought that okay, a lot of people, especially in my country, thought that Brentford would have gone back to the relegation zone. And for me, I thought they would also go back to relegation, right? But from the blast of the first whistle, I I don't remember which game did they play against. Yeah, they played against Arsenal. The way
yeah.
they dominated and battered Arsenal, and how they kept playing them, especially playing against the big teams, the likes of Liverpool, the 3-3 draw. Wow, it was so nice, right? So they caught me off guard, right? So I was like very impressed with the way they played and the way they approached the games, the intensity and the kind of strength they showed. I was so impressed, but I think they tailed off a bit. So it was something like perhaps our expectation for them to go back to the championship will finally come to a fruition. But after they signed Ericsson, then things changed. Now they were beating teams for fun. They even they even beat Chelsea. How many goals did we collect from them? 4-1, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was how should I say it? A sort of payoff from the last time when they played us and they outplayed us, but still did not manage to score us. They did really well, and for me, I was surprised. I was shocked with the way they played. So it was a big shock for me, a big surprise for me.
Yeah. Again, I agree with the panel. Everything you got, they said, I agree. Um, yeah, Ericsson. I know. Where is he going?
I'd
He's
love
going
him
to
at Leicester.
Newcastle.
And the
Nah,
thing is, we're all saying that. I'd love him to go to stay at Brentford because
Yeah.
nobody wanted him, and Brentford said, "Yeah, come and play for us." And of course, now he's played and he's fine.
Mhm.
Everybody wants him, and I'd love
Mhm.
for him to say, "Well, you didn't want me before. Why do you want me now? I'm stopping at Brentford."
Exactly.
You know.
mm,
I'd
I
happy for
would
him to
say
stay at Brentford, but I wouldn't mind taking him at Newcastle if he wanted to come. So
Well, there's a
yeah.
lot of
For
clubs I
me,
think.
what I was concerned about Ericsson was the fact that he had problems with his health. I think would have been a very good player. But I felt like this guy is having a heart problem. Why pressure him with the intensity of the Premier League? So I thought that even him coming to the Premier League was not going to be the right choice for him because of how pacey and powerful the Premier League is. So yeah, I think with the way Brentford had shown this sort of love for him, it's best that he stays there. I don't know which team. Maybe some teams want to sign him, but it's like because he had become good or he had become successful, they are now going for him. I think yes, I agree with the rest of the panel. He has to stay at Brentford. He really has to.
Yeah. Now we're getting closer to Newcastle. We're getting closer to them. At first, Crystal Palace. Now, league position wise, you would say it's just a normal season for them. But they basically, our what were your guys' expectations about Patrick Vieira as manager? And did he ever see exceed it or not?
I expected Palace to be fighting relegation this season. I thought Patrick Vieira was a bit of a risk, and it totally just shows I know nothing about football. um, he's come. He's done really well for them. It was a big season. They'd lost Roy. Love him or hate him, he's obviously had the experience there. He kept them kind of in that sort of position. They lost a lot of players at the start. Vieira came in and, like I say, hadn't managed in the Premier League before, but he's done a good job. And for me, they've exceeded expectations.
Vieira coming in, I was I knew they were gonna. I think they were gonna have a good season when Vieira came in. You know, Hodgson. Excuse me. It was like, he's getting old now. I mean, then he left Palace, went to Watford for a brief moment, and then took the money, and now he's retired. No, I think Crystal Palace have had a good season. I really do. I think Vieira's done a great job. He did address the Everton game and the pitch invasion and all that, and that situation. And then the fans, I think it was at the last game, started chanting at him, saying something to do with Vieira. But Vieira's had a good season. I think they were 12th this season. I think they could push for top 10 next season if they do it right.
I've got to say as well done to Patrick Vieira for having a go at that lad.
Yes,
If they run onto we've seen a lot of that, and if the government came round tomorrow and said, right, fences are going back up at all the grounds, there's no defence. You couldn't say that, no, we don't. It shouldn't, because we've seen the invasions.
Yes,
it's not just pitch invasions. It's if it was just pitch invasions, it would be fine. We know fans do celebrate. I've run onto the pitches before, but I never attacked anybody. And if Patrick Vieira is punched, why shouldn't he punch the person back?
Exactly.
Where do they get off, these fans, thinking they're allowed to do that? I wish he'd connected with him while he was on the floor, to be honest with you. And that's not like Patrick Vieira to miss a kick, is it? But I'm sorry. I get it. Really does pee me off. And then they go, "Oh, he kicked me, he hurt me. Oh, mummy." What? It winds me up. It winds me up.
Yeah. For me, I don't think Patrick Vieira would do this great. I thought he would be also a bit closer to relegation, of course. But he obviously overseeded my expectations. Now, Louis, it's your turn.
Okay. Okay.
I think.
Let's start with the Newcastle. Start the season. Same expectations, relegation. We're gonna get relegated. Mike Ashley, same crap players. Okay, Steve Bruce, one of the worst football I have ever seen as a Newcastle fan. I've seen Alan Pardew, I've seen Steve McLaren, but this this cabbage heat is one of the the worst football I've ever watched. I'm glad he got the sack. West Brom now have him. Good luck, West Brom. I hope you've got your fingers crossed for next season, because you could get relegated. God help you. We got the takeover. Parties in the streets of Newcastle. I was at the takeover game, at the Spurs game. Great atmosphere. But of course we lost because it was Bruce. Bruce that got sacked. Eddie Howe came in. There's rumours of Unai Emery, Fonseca. Eddie Howe came in. Everyone was saying, "Oh, he's a relegation specialist. Oh, he's a relegation specialist." Does that matter? The only reason he got Bournemouth relegated was because of a goal line technology issue at Villa.
That's the Villa game.
Yeah, they saved them from getting relegated. So he's not a relegation specialist, is he? So Eddie Howe comes in. We draw some games. We don't win many games. We don't win any games until Burnley, where we scored the penalty of Wilson. Great game. So then that started off us sort of going a little run, and then we won at Leeds, and then we went on a 9-game unbeaten streak. St James's Park was a fortress, flags out everywhere, waving. Everton tried to copy us, and it didn't really work. But it's been a great season. I mean, the transfer window as well in January, we signed a few good players. Byrne, Gamairesh especially.
Wood.
Who else? Target. We've just signed Target on a permanent. Wood. Two goals. Southampton and what was it like? Oh, penalty. It was a penalty against Wolves, wasn't it? When we went up the step before the penalty, I was like, I've got me back to it. I'm not looking at this because I think it's going to sky it over that. But he scored. Wood 2 goal contributions. Get him on a ship back to New Zealand. I don't want him. Get Ekiteke in. Get him in. He injured his hamstring yesterday, so that's a bit of a bummer. But this season we've had a great season. We finished 11th. Now we were all thinking, oh, Newcastle's going to get relegated. It's going to be a bad season. But then the takeover, jubilance of the takeover, we then go to the top of the table. We end up with 9th at one point. Then we finish 11th. But it's been a good season, really good season. Really happy with the transfer window. We spent good money in the transfer window. We got Gamairesh on a bargain. And hopefully we're going to sign a few good players in the window. This time, it's like Ekiteke, hopefully new goalkeeper, Henderson. We'll see what happens.
This is what Arab money can do to a club. Interesting.
Well, we're now in the top 6 region now, so hopefully next season we'll, push for Europe. We're not shopping in Poundland anymore. We're shopping in Waitrose, Marks and Spencers.
You've got to be careful. I mean, I think if you look at Newcastle, for me, it's hard to say have they exceeded or have they not exceeded because it's a completely different club.
Yes.
Once that takeover went through, I mean, Steve Bruce. Yeah, I mean, how he keeps getting jobs, I don't know. You finished 12th last season under Steve Bruce. I remember you coming to Leicester towards the end of last season, and I was on loads of shows, and you were all saying, "Oh, it's going to be Leicester 6, Newcastle 0, and what have you." And I think you beat us 4-2 or something like that.
4 something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was 4-2. Yeah, just looking, and you've got a great manager. I live in Poole, just outside Bournemouth. And I can remember when I first came down here that the Bournemouth fans and players were collecting money in buckets to keep the club alive. They were minus 17 points that season. And Eddie Howe took them from that to the Premier League. And he kept them there. He is an excellent manager. I hope you don't use him, or once you've got established, maybe a couple of seasons' time, then you go for the big name, if you like. I hope you don't do that to him. It was always interesting to see how he would do with a bigger club than Bournemouth. I think he'll do really, really good for you. I'm absolutely pleased the takeover went through. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's all money and what have you." So what? every
Yeah.
club has got money. It's just different, amounts of it, if you like. And I think if you can go and smash that that so-called Sky Big Six,
Yeah.
and smash your way into there. We tried it for a couple of times, and we got, didn't quite do it. Probably won't do it this coming season, because I
No,
think
not.
you've got sensible owners, and the fact
Yes.
that they are taking it. How can I say? Taking it step by step. You're not, we're going to win the Premier League next season.
No.
I'm worried about players that may come to you because are they coming for the right reasons? Are they coming because they want to play for a team that can go on and within the next couple of seasons be challenging for the Premier League, or are they coming because you're giving them good money and it's a name, but they're sort of maybe past the best? I don't think Eddie Howe will allow that to happen, but
No.
you have got to be careful. But a great end to the season, there's no doubt about that. I was absolutely gutted when you were above us for a while, but it was great to see you turn it round, and go get them next season, guys.
And that game
I
as
think-
well
I
against
think-
Leicester at the end of the season.
I think. Let me make. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
All right. So I think, look, what turned Newcastle's season around was their smart signings. I think the way they signed and recruited the players was quite excellent, right? They fixed like important areas of their team to help them win. I quite remember they brought in, is it Dan Burn,
Dan Burn,
Trippier?
yep. Trippier.
Trippier, and what's this guy's name? He played for Burnley,
Bruno
the
Guimaraes.
centre forward. Guimaraes,
Bruno.
and this Burnley forward, what's his name? The former Burnley forward,
Wood.
Chris Wood.
Deadwood.
Yes. He's not Deadwood. He has done you some good service. Respect him. So I think that sort of smart signings that they made is what helped them to get to the 10th position or wherever position they finished up high. So I think that is the thing. If you have so much money, there's this temptation to just spend and not spend with some wisdom in it, right? Not spend wisely. And I hope that they continue to do that next season, because next season, this summer, you have the opportunity to buy as many good players as possible. So I just hope that the money factor wouldn't make you buy players just for buying sake. But because look at what's happened to Everton. Everton has spent a lot of money, but they've not been able to produce the results they wanted. You understand? So that's what I hope. But for me, the way Newcastle turned around their season was so amazing. It was a miracle. I thought they were going to relegation. Hey, how did you guys do that?
No Premier League club has ever done that, what we did, so we're the first. And by the way, our new home shirt this season is amazing. I love it. Apart from the sponsor.
Look, the second club I'm supporting, aside Chelsea, is Newcastle. So if Newcastle does well, I'll be happy.
Honourably, Geordie.
Yeah. I think Louis summed it up perfectly regarding Newcastle. Now, an interesting one is Wolves. Before, hi Oli. Yeah.
I mean,
Wolves.
Wolves, another club that proved I know nothing about football, because I thought that they would struggle this season. They got rid of Nuno, and I thought Nuno was an excellent. I think him and Wolves just went together. He got all his Portuguese players in there and what have you, and I thought he was going to do really, really badly, having lost him. Bruno came in, and my Alexa's set off. Bruno came in and carried it on and did better, if anything. And I thought at one point they might again sneak that Europa conference place, but they fell off towards the end. I think after the way you look at how they started, I think the way they finished would have been disappointing for them.
I think Wolves have had a season where it's like been on and off in parts. I mean, they've had like some good wins in parts. I mean, it's a weird season for Wolves. I mean, I don't know how to sum it up.
Yeah. For me, I was expecting Wolves to finish somewhere around six. I think six because of how well they did last season. So for me, what position were they last season?
Last season,
When,
let me
when,
have a look. Last season they were 13th.
we were
Yeah,
13. So
and
it kind of surprised me. How come they finished 13? Because they were one of these teams that did well last two seasons. Let me say it that way. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing a bit. But I think Bruno Lage did well. He did well to at least keep them afloat. He made them a bit difficult to beat another thing. But on the whole, with the sort of expectation I had for them and where they finished last season, I think for me it's a disappointing season for them. That's what I'll say about them.
yeah, um, well, uh, for Wolves is interesting because, of course, they they are now coached by Bruno Mars. So and they, I think they in the 1920 season, people thought the 2021 season they were going to push for top four, but they dipped massively. And then this
Yeah,
season they jumped up a bit, but it was it was a decent season for Wolves. It's what you expect from them. So
true.
yeah, next team is Brighton. Uh, I think
Brighton,
that
Brighton, Brighton. Am I the only one that didn't get onto the Graham Potter bandwagon of how wonderful he is? Yeah, everybody was shouting he's going to be the next England manager, and
I
you know
didn't.
what I mean, what on the basis that he'd kept Brighton up one season. That said, again, proved me completely wrong and had a really good season. They started off well, um, fell away at the end. At one point, I think it was sort of maybe sort of April time, they were actually bottom of the form table. And that was a real a test for Potter to see what he can do. Um, he turned it round though, and he's got them back up to ninth. And I think for Brighton, that's got to be classed as a good season.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
it he kept them. He, well, he got them into the top of the table. So I won't see why it isn't a great season for them or a good season. But and at one stage they were in the top four in the beginning of the season. And so I think
Well, last
Graham
season
Potter.
they finished
I
16th
also
last season.
so now it's Leicester. Chris, take it away.
Where do I start?
We've
What
been
a season.
disappointing this season. Last season we're disappointing. Admit it.
No, well, no. To be honest with you, it's been such a weird season, and I think our problem is that a lot of people said like we bottled top four for the last two seasons. We didn't bottle top four. We actually overperformed to get fifth place for two seasons running. And this season, you had to look at, you had Leicester, but you also had Arsenal coming back. You had Spurs coming back. Like we just said, Wolves and West Ham and these other teams are all going for the fifth place that probably for the last couple of seasons, it was only us that was challenging for that. And the problem you have as fans is when you have a couple of good seasons, your expectations grow. We were in a very tough Europa League group. And we had Lazio in there with us. We had Moscow. It was a hard group, and we had, and I hate blaming it, but we had horrendous injuries. We had over 30 injuries this season to players. We had 9+ defensive players that were injured. I mean, the defensive line. Our formation was actually Brendan Rodgers going into the into the changing room about 2 hours before the game, saying, "Right, who's fit?" And if you've got 3 defenders put his hand up, we played 3 at the back. I mean, that's how bad it was. You know, everybody criticised Vestergaard when he came in from Southampton, but he came in and he didn't know who he was playing with week in, week out. He couldn't get any understanding going at all. I think for everything we went through, I say with all those injuries, we finished 8th. We were 1 place off a European place in 7th. We got to a European semi-final, and all right, wasn't the one we wanted, but you know, Lazio took that place from us on the last day. They got Barcelona. They got knocked out straight away. We came 3rd, dropped into the conference, made it all the way to the semi-finals. If you'd have given me, I know, yeah, FA Cup was disappointing, especially to lose to Forest and what have you, but if you had given me at the start of the season 8th and a European semi-final place, I would have bitten your hand off. Because I'll tell you something, I bet Newcastle would have loved to have had that at the end of this season. But Arsenal wouldn't have minded it either. There's a lot of clubs there that would have looked at us and gone, yeah, you know, we would have taken that. But because we'd had the 2 seasons when we finished 5th, our expectations had grown, if you like, you know. But there's going to be a bit of a rebuild. You know, we kept going. It was disappointing in the fact of where we had ended up, but it wasn't a disastrous season. You know, I look at the disastrous season as being Everton, you know, the sort of season they've had. I would say I was possibly disappointed, but we got knocked out by a team of Europe, by a team managed by Jose Mourinho. They went on to win the cup. So there's nothing to be ashamed of for this year. And, you know, we've got to wobble our heads a little bit and go, look, you know, because during the season, I was sounding like an Arsenal fan. You know, why weren't we beating this team? We beat them last season. We should be beating them. But that's football's not like that. And occasionally you have a season, you come along and you know, you sort of put in your place a little bit. But, yeah, I can say in normal, you know, 8th and a European semi-final, it's not the worst season. We've had worse seasons, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
For me, I think what I expected Leicester to finish, where I expected Leicester to finish, and where they finished last season, for me, like, even though there are so many reasons why Leicester had to finish 8th, it's still a disappointing season because I thought Leicester would be challenging for the top 4. For me, seriously, I don't know.
I think everybody did, and Leicester fans did. You know, I predicted we'd be 5th again.
So I was shocked. So I get, like, I would have said that, no, a lot of things you cannot, but I think I understand that now, because if they had the full complement of their squad, I think they had Fofana injured, I think, in preseason. He
wasn't injured,
he had
he
a
was
leg
hacked down by a Spanish player. Disgusting.
You see the way you're describing, he was hacked down. Okay, no problem. We'll take it like that. Yeah. So he was hacked down, right? Yeah. So because of that, he was ruled out for almost the entire season. I think during the latter stages of the season, we saw him play a bit, but they actually missed him. I think from the first part of the, like, when we began the season, the injury to Fofana might have derailed them, right? Then they also started having injuries and other things. So I think, yes, it's a decent place to finish. eighth, because it could have been worse with the sort of injuries and the sort of
Yeah. It was
obstacles
looking
they had
well.
to face. Yeah, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
So I hope they challenge once more next season for the top four, because each and every team, even Chelsea, have had such a bad season before. So I hope you bounce back next season and challenge, because Leicester, to be honest, Leicester City has quality. They actually have quality. So that's why I was surprised that they had to finish as low as 8. But you also understand why they have to go through this, and I hope that they have a better season next time. Because for me, I was disappointed by where they placed. Actually, I was disappointed.
No, I take that, and like I say, hopefully we'll be back next season. I think if anything else, we just give hope to other clubs that it can be done, and that you can break into that top 6 and win things occasionally.
Yeah. You hit the nail on all the stuff. Um, of course, Delboy Gunner TV.
Well, what's the language, Del Boy? What's the language?
Delboy Ireland. Who is worse, Ireland or Arsenal?
Uh, Wait, which one do you want me to talk about? Who?
No, Delboy supports Ireland
Arsenal.
and Arsenal. No, they lost
Ireland. Okay.
to.
He's just
I
used to losing,
can't
isn't he?
remember.
Supporting those
They lost to
teams.
someone and they lost to Ukraine. So Delboy, who is worse? Who can West Ham? What are you guys' thoughts on West Ham? I will start. For me, West Ham. Let's give a round of applause to David Moyes. What he did with West Ham is just brilliant.
They've done well in Europe.
Yes, they did. They did. They really did. Like, I thought what he did last 2 seasons was a fluke. So the way he was able to continue, I think that they overachieved. Let me say it that way. They overachieved. So he did very, very well. Very, very well. This time.
Yeah.
I think it was in anything. It was a bit of a disappointing season because they'd finished 6th last season before us, just behind us. Sorry.
Okay.
But again, European semi-final for them, finishing 7th, so they've got Europe again. But when you look at where they were challenging for that. They were going to be the Leicester of this season. It looked like at one point, but I think the squad size has hampered them a little bit, and but Moyes is doing a great job there. Great job. Maybe maybe Man United shouldn't have got rid of him.
I don't know. I don't know for that. To be honest, because
I'm being a little bit sarcastic there, but West Ham have progressed these last few seasons more than Man United have. Let's be honest.
True. But I think with Moyes and United, I think there are some coaches, they are unable to handle the pressure of big clubs. So I don't know if Moyes fits that category. But I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. But next team, Manchester United. Where do we
Oh,
start?
God. Ollie at
Go
the
on,
wheel.
Louis, go for it.
United.
Right. Man United. Oh, God. I don't know where to start with Man United. Horrible season. Horrible. Ronaldo. You get your Ronaldo in. He scores a few goals, and then the team just starts losing under Ralph Rangnick 4-0. I think at one point like 6-0 at one point or something. It's been a terrible season since Ralph Rangnick came in, and now they've got Eric Ten Hag, whose backroom staff is Steve McLaren.
I know, I saw that.
What's
Steve
wrong with Steve
McLaren.
McLaren? Uh-huh.
He's the person who came to Newcastle and got us relegated.
He's the Wally and the Brolly who managed England.
Yes. He's the one who thinks that if he goes to a different country, he starts speaking foreign English.
Yes. He's rubbish. But he's a good number 2, but he's rubbish as a number 1.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think Man United fan, Maisie, she summed it up, and she says, "I do not know how we finished 6th with the way we're performing." And again, I think you've got to look at the owners of this club that have let the fans down.
Yeah.
You know, you've got they took on Ollie as an interim manager because Josie had lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
Ollie got the dressing room back and was winning. But before he actually finished his temporary contract, they gave him a full-time contract. And as soon as that happened, it started going a bit wrong for him. So, But why did they give the contract so soon when he's still got a couple of months left on his temporary contract? He then got them to 4th and 2nd in the last 2 seasons. But that wasn't good enough. You know, let's get rid of him. We need to do better than that. Our club like Man United should not be having to appoint interim managers. Managers should be walking over broken glass to manage that club. But they got a guy that wasn't best known for his sort of management.
He's a sporting director.
Exactly. And they gave him the job to manage the club. Probably the biggest club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And it went, and you got a load of... It is the classic example of a team of great players, but individuals.
I mean, yeah.
Not a team at all.
Harry Maguire in an England squad, okay, but you put him in a Man United squad.
I just carry on enjoying counting the money that Man United paid for. He went there and he was a good defender, but again, you know, fans start having to go at one player, and it's going to affect his performance. It's bound to affect him, and I think a lot of what Harry Maguire was sort of suffering really was uncalled for. It wasn't just him; it was the whole bloody team.
Yes,
he was being picked out as the bad guy, but there was 10 other bad guys on the field. I think if they had 11 other bad guys, they still wouldn't have won with 12 players on the field.
I mean,
you know, I just hope Ten Hag's given the time to do what needs to be done, and that is to overhaul that club from top to bottom.
Just look, I think their season's just been, meh. 57 goals scored, 57 goals against, 0 goal difference.
Yeah. It's they were look. I think, to be honest with you, it was only because of the Ollie start with them that they ended up finishing 6th.
Mm-hmm.
The people we should blame for
Yeah.
is the fans. It's the fans.
But
I remember
February.
I was on the football series.
February, we can't hear you, February.
Hello, can you hear me? Is it better now?
Yeah,
That's
now
better,
it's better.
Yeah. And he's gone again.
And now it's network has gone. Yeah. I need to. Will you guys be able to host the stream? I got to go in a few minutes.
Right.
Then I will just end it and everything. Yeah, the end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
No problem. Just to quickly run through it for me, Arsenal above average, more than they expected. I think Tottenham Hotspur definitely more than they expected. Chelsea disappointed. I said Chelsea would win the Premier League this season, so you guys let me down. Liverpool did well, but going from 4 to 2 trophies could be counted as a disappointment. And Manchester City were what expected, really.
Arsenal, I'm happy we beat them. Tottenham, I'm disappointed that we
I think
lost to
everybody
them.
else in the league, Premier League, was glad you beat them.
Yes. So Tottenham, lucky to get into the top four. Conte. Chelsea just having a clueless season. I mean, with their takeover stuff going on. Fans, season ticket holders only allowed in stadiums. Stuff going on like that. Liverpool falling short on the last day. They didn't get the treble or whatever it was, quadruple, and then Man City paid 100 million for Jack Grealish. He's done absolutely nothing to the Premier League title. That's Man
No.
City.
Yeah.
Very expensive bench warmer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he parties like, and he calls out Miguel Almiron.
Mm.
Yeah. For me, Arsenal, disappointing season for them. Uh, if you look where they were and everything, how Arteta is not sacked yet. I think at all three of our clubs, Arteta would be sacked if he did what he done with Arsenal. You guys agree?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
Arsenal were bottom and pointless at one point, weren't they?
Yes.
So
Yes.
he did. But whatever Arteta does, the fans aren't going to get behind him.
No. Ever since Wenger, I mean, they've been like, no, get him out, fam, get him out, blood. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Okay, I got to go, so just you guys can do the top four, just and everything. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah. I mean, I think we did the top four, didn't we?
Okay, yeah. Tottenham, Conte,
Tottenham.
Conte, just Conte. Conte did Conte things.
Conte's what? He's probably got the best thing that's happened to Tottenham in
Yes.
absolutely years. And I think the best thing that Tottenham did was not giving the job in the summer and having to put up with Nuno, who was like something like the 20th choice. Because when
Yeah.
they got Conte, I honestly think he could come in and go, do you know what? You want me more than I need you. And if you want me, I want this, 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 and
This and
this.
this.
And he could stand up to Daniel Levy. And I think they might actually do something next season if Conte stays, which he
Yes.
looked like he will do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but uh, I'm going to wrap this up now. Yeah, Chelsea, just a Chelsea season. Liverpool, how they how they bottled
I think
and everything.
they came back into it. They were out of the running at one point. They made it interesting for the rest of the Premier League. I've never known a final day. I think there was
Yeah.
only actually Leicester's game that wasn't affecting either Europe, the title, or relegation.
Yep.
But like I say, I think you've got to be disappointed when you're looking at four possible trophies, and the two that they ended up with was probably the two they would have least wanted. But if you look at that Champions League, 30 odd shots on target, not one goal, it's not good enough. And
Yeah.
Liverpool have been in three finals this season and haven't scored a goal from open play.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums their season up. So I tend to say, if anything, they're probably a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, City, just being City and
City just
wasting
being
money.
rich.
So yeah,
And then the
that's
Haaland next season. We'll see what happens with that. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
I want to thank my guests for coming on, Louis and Chris. All the links is in the description. Yeah, make sure you guys subscribe
Thanks
to
for
their
having us on,
channel,
mate.
follow them.
Thanks for having
And
us on.
if you're watching and you haven't, make sure to subscribe to this channel as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are now 3 away from 85 subs. So let's make it happen. Alright, so yeah. Um, uh, and we will see you all